All right, we are joined right now by a man that, yeah, he has done some things in Hollywood, on stage, in the theater. He may have won 7 Emmy Awards. He may have won 2 Tony Awards. He may be the man that has brought Dos Hombres into our lives as the best mezcal you'll ever taste. But first and foremost, he is a great Dodger fan and not one of those bandwagon fans that showed up a few years ago. This man has been through it and now is reaping the rewards of back-to-back World Series championships. And that is the one and only Bryan Cranston from across the pond in London, England. Bryan, thanks a lot for the time and so great to do this.
David, it's good to see you again. It's about 9 p.m. at night right here, and on my day off, I'm doing a play here, and but I'm always ready to talk baseball.
All My Sons, that's what Bryan Cranston is starring in. It's a Arthur Miller play from way back in 1947. So I don't know whether you had a spring training for this play or not. So can we just start at where you were for Game 6 and Game 7 and where you were when Rojas hit his improbable home run?
David, every single game started at 1:10 a.m. in London, no matter where they were playing. And so it was crushing me to try to sleep and then set the alarm for 1 a.m. and get up out of a sound sleep and then watch for 3 hours and then try to go back to sleep for another hour or two before going to rehearsal at 10 a.m. I was like in a daze. But you know what? I would do it again. Looking back, what a great series, back and forth. And how odd was it? Is that the first time? Maybe Dave. Is that the first time? And I believe this is true. I didn't double check this, but didn't the visiting team win every game?
Except one, the Dodgers won that 18-inning marathon.
Oh, that's right.
And they did win one in Toronto. They did win one in
That's right.
Toronto, but I think the point is that was the greatest World Series that we have seen maybe in our lifetimes as far as just how competitive and the momentum swings. I mean, the Dodgers in Game 7, Bryan, they could have lost 4 or 5 different times before Rojas even has that chance.
The idea of Miggy Rowe getting up in the top of the 9th with 1 out, they just needed 2 more outs, and he hits it out. Oh my, I was screaming. Now, we got to remember, it's now about 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm screaming, and my wife is saying, "What happened? What happened?" And she goes, "You're going to wake everybody up in the whole building." And I said I didn't care. It was too big. And then in the 10th, when Smith does the same thing, it was like it seemed destined then. It seemed like it was ours at that moment. It was like, okay, you have these 2 things happen in the top of the 9th and the top of the 10th. This is ours. We're going to wrap this up.
I find this so fascinating just to see your timeline of events across the globe. So 18 innings goes on again, and Freddie Freeman hits his walk-off home run in the bottom of the 18th inning. Were you able to stay up the whole time? Did you take a nap between innings 12 and 17? I mean, what was going on?
It was like seemed like I was in a drug-induced stupor. It was, by that time it was something like 5:30 in the morning, and I was already holding my head going, oh, I don't know how I'm going to make it through this day. But the other thought, it truly came to me: if the Dodgers win this, I'll somehow make it through the day. But if they lose, oh my God, it would be awful.
The show's canceled.
Yeah, it's like, can't do it. Tell the audience to go home.
What's surreal about all this is how you're there in London for All My Sons, but at Dodger Stadium for those 3 games, and I believe even throughout the entire postseason, the highlights and hyping up the crowd at Dodger Stadium with Dodger Vision. So you may not have been physically at Dodger Stadium, but certainly your spirit was, and your
You
voice.
know, I'm happy to be a sliver of a part of the celebration. It was fun to do. And as you said, David, I was born and raised in Los Angeles, so this is my team. I was born in 1956. My first Dodger game was in 1961 when I was 5.5 years old. And it was at the LA Coliseum. I don't remember much of it. I went with my older brother and my father, and I just remember it was huge. There was a lot of celebration going on, and it was probably the first time I ever felt that. But I did remember one thing, and that was the name of a Dodger player called Wally Moon. You remember Wally? And it was the first time as a young boy that I thought, oh, so his name could be the same as something else. You know, it's like my name is Bryan, but there's no object or star named Bryan. So I just didn't understand that. And so that I remembered that name. And as Vin Scully dubbed him, the moonshots that he used to hit like a chip shot over the screen in left field, because they didn't want to pitch to the inside. He was a left-handed batter. And I was so impressed with that, and the symbol behind that. It was what it meant to hit a moonshot was to overcome an obstacle. Here's a dilemma. How do you do this? How do you figure out this problem? And he figured out the problem. And so I was so enamored by that I named my production company Moonshot Entertainment.
No kidding. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome. What a tip of the cap to Wally Moon. And
Wally Moon.
the moonshot with Coliseum, Bryan, you remember, obviously, what it was. The Coliseum had a short porch, 250 feet away. And I forgot how high that screen was that Wally Moon used to hit him over.
It was about 44 feet tall, the screen.
Wow.
Because it was so short. Now, center and right field were enormous. They were vast. And so they didn't want to give left-handed hitters that freedom to hit and run like crazy. So they used to pitch a little outside to left-handed hitters and force them to hit to left field, hit off the screen, and the most they'd get is a single, because it was so short. But yeah, he figured out how to solve a problem, and I was very impressed with that.
So, Bryan Cranston, when you used to go watch Wally Moon and the Dodgers at the Coliseum, we have heard the stories of fans like yourself and your dad that would bring their transistor radio to the Coliseum, and you could actually hear Vin Scully's call throughout the Coliseum and eventually at Dodger Stadium. Do you remember those memories vividly of hearing Vin Scully for the first time?
It's indelible. Once you hear Vin Scully, it becomes part of your life. And he was with Brooklyn, as we know. And so he came out, and that's all I knew was Vin Scully since the very first time I heard his voice. And, you know, I didn't have a great childhood. It was probably not as bad as some, worse than others. But I knew that during the 3 hours that I was listening to a Dodger game with Vin Scully's voice, at least during that time, all was well. And he was able to paint a picture and allow me as a young boy to escape the hardships that I was feeling, and be able to fantasize about being a baseball player myself and what that would be like. And I remember sneaking in my transistor radio with my little earplug, and I used to put it down my sleeve, and I would would hold it up to my ear in class, because in the 60s, all the World Series games that he used to announce, they were all during the day. There are very few night games in the World Series. And so all through the 60s, I used to listen to Vin do the World Series games and any day games that happened to be, you know, like the businessmen special games they used to have in midweek. And, you know, I mean, and I was fortunate enough about 8 years ago, just a couple years before he retired, to be able to present Vin with the ESPN award for broadcaster of the century, you know, and I was able to do that. And I was actually doing a play in New York at the time, but it was on a Sunday night. So I flew out Sunday morning to be in Los Angeles to do this award. And then as soon as it was over, I got on a red eye and flew back to New York so I could be in the show the next day. So, but it was worth it.
That's
I mean,
amazing.
he was my hero. I was able to bring my daughter to meet him, and she grew up with him, and they took some pictures together, and those are cherished memories.
Wow, that gives me chills, and I feel like part of the reason why people love what you do, whether it's, you know, on TV, in the movies, or on stage, is because of how relatable you are. And for people like myself who grew up my entire life in the San Fernando Valley, that's all very relatable. 20 years later, obviously, but I mean, we all listened to him, and I did the same thing. I would have the radio on until I went to bed. I mean, that was my comfort,
Yeah.
going to sleep.
Well, even when we went to Dodger games, going to the stadium,
Yeah.
and how many times I've gone, hundreds of times. I'd always want to bring a radio to listen to Vin. You know, I mean, that was just part of it.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is me just being too nostalgic, but I do wonder what it would sound like if Vin would have called that Rojas or Will Smith home run or Freddie's grand slam. Those are the things that sometimes go through my mind, because Chick Hearn and Vin Scully, to me, brought the Dodgers and Lakers to life for all of us.
They sure did. And even Kings hockey, Bob Miller was a terrific announcer as well. We really got very lucky here in Los Angeles.
Bryan Cranston, you're so excited about this Dodger team, but everybody always wants more. I'm not sure if you experienced this in Hollywood, but yeah, you were great in this show, but we want more. What are you going to do next? And it feels like that's the Dodgers as well. You won back-to-back World Series championships for the first time in franchise history, but we want a three-peat. And Bryan Cranston is so excited about playing Andrew Friedman. Maybe one day he will, but you actually feel like you have some hot stove in you to maybe pull off and solidify a three-peat.
I do. I have some proposals.
You have them written down.
Yeah. One proposal is in-house, so no trades, and then there's a couple trade proposals. But okay. I first started with, every Dodger fan, and I've talked to many, and they're so remarkably intelligent about it, and so you're passionate about it, but you also have to be sensible and realistic. When we were kids making these fantasy trades in our heads, they always favored the Dodgers by a long shot. Why don't we just trade so-and-so for so-and-so? It's like, oh, come on. But now you have to be realistic. In my fantasies, I'm being realistic. So I first started with what we know. Last year, our outfield was Conforto, Pages, and Hernandez, left to right, right? Let's be honest, the only good defensive player was Pages, okay? It will not be the same this year. We cannot. Conforto was... Well, he was a low-cost experiment. It just didn't work, and he's gone, and I wish him well. I heard he was a good guy. Pages started out cold at the plate, and then he got red hot at midseason, and they got cold again. So we're going to look for a little more consistency out of him. And Hernandez ended up with 25 home runs, which is great. But I think he struck out too much and he didn't get enough walks. So his on-base percentage, I think, was down. And so, but the biggest thing about him is that the Dodgers cannot, must not, will not put him out in right field again. He was a defensive liability to us. And, I can say that. You have to talk to him, but I can say that. And we know that to be true. The WAR numbers explain that specifically. I think he was 33 out of 36 right fielders in it. And
he was one of the worst defensive right fielders. You're right.
Yeah.
And man, Teoscar's one of my favorite people. So I'm bracing myself for what's coming here.
Well, okay, but see, why was it when he played left field a year and a half, 2 years ago, why was it hidden? Is right field really that much more demanding? And I suppose it is. But when he was in left field, we didn't really talk about his defensive liability very much. It was really, his offense was so good, and he was an adequate outfielder in left field. So the way to do it, because we have a hole in left field, is to move Hernandez back to left field, plant him there, leave him there. And I think he's more comfortable there. And I think he'll be more comfortable, and that'll equate to him at the plate. So now we have a hole in right field, right? Which leads me to this next thing, still in-house, no trades yet. Mookie Betts. Is Mookie Betts, if you were to ask Dave, and David, I'm asking you because you talked to him, is Mookie happy and comfortable at shortstop? Can you answer that?
He's a happier player at shortstop. He wants to be on the infield the rest of his career.
Do you think, okay, now that's like, 7 more years under a Dodger contract?
Yeah, I haven't counted.
Do you think he can sustain 7 more years?
I feel like, as you know, shortstop is the most demanding position, unprecedented for a player over 30 to go from right field to shortstop. I feel like in his future, maybe not in 2026, but beyond, second base is a compromise. But I know what you're saying. Many others feel the same way. Just put Mookie back in right field.
Well, the other question I have is, because it's so demanding, probably, would you say that a catcher or a shortstop is the most demanding position role?
I would say catching, but then outside of that, shortstop would be.
Right. Do you think that Mookie was so focused on becoming a really, really impressive, great shortstop defensively? Do you think that hurt him offensively?
I would say no, because in 24, he was on his way to winning the MVP playing shortstop. His offense was really good before he broke his hand on a pitch that hit him, and he missed 6 weeks. So I would say he was better at shortstop, but still, as you know, it's a position that there's so many nuances that if you need to play it at this level, and you've had to play it your whole life. But I feel like he's done an adequate enough job. I mean, they won the World Series. He had an unassisted double play. So I think he's staying. I think he's staying at shortstop in 2026.
Okay. Which leads me to another question directly to you for all of us. I'm representing Dodger fans now, and I'm pumping you for questions.
That's a great rap.
Alex Freeland ready to be a major league shortstop in your mind?
No, Alex Freeland is not the answer. I'm a big advocate for the Dodgers pursuing Bo Bichette, because he could play second, he could play short, he can play third base. So I feel like Bo Bichette would be great for not only this year, but beyond. And he's only 28 years old.
Right. That's an interesting thing. It's going to cost them quite a bit, but the Dodgers don't seem to to worry too much about cost. Now, I have if that's a situation, we find someone else to, and because I was thinking, now here's what I would think if we go outside with a trade, instead of going free agency and bringing back Cody Bellinger or something like that, which I don't know. Those 2 years were brutal when, on 21 and 22, brutal. And I don't
I'm
know
with you.
what
I
turned
think
him around.
it's time to turn the page. I mean, Cody's moved on. The Dodgers have moved on.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
I agree with that. So here's two trades that won't cost the Dodgers a lot in the sense of money. Okay, so we have right field open. If we move Teoscar to left, or we trade Teoscar to. Come on now, just hold with me. Just stay with me for a second.
Yeah.
We trade Teoscar to the Guardians for Stephen Kwan. Put Kwan in left. I think the Guardians would go for this because I think they have their 5 outfielders are all left-handed. And they don't have much power. And so they needed a power right-handed bat. Mm-hmm. So they might go for that. Stephen Kwan has like 2 years left. And I think, does Teoscar have 2 years left on his contract? I think something like that.
At a higher price tag.
At a higher price tag. Exactly right. And the reason I say that is get Stephen Kwan for a couple of years. The 2 top Dodger farmhands are both outfielders that might really make a statement, but not this year and maybe not next year, right? It's going to be maybe 27.
Yes, and 20, maybe as we've seen, you're still a prospect until you prove otherwise. So a suspect. We've seen a lot of guys that are supposed to be the next big thing that have not turned out to be the next big thing.
It's so true. Kershaw has told us that over and over again. Where has he pitched? In the minors. Not the same thing. It's not the same thing. It's a totally new game, and you do have to prove yourself. But here's the trade. So if you take Teoscar to the Guardians for Stephen Kwan, and now Kwan doesn't hit home runs really, but he has a huge on-base percentage, and his defense is superb. So what you do then is that you move Pages to right, which is his natural position, right field. And you make a trade with the Twins for Buxton. You trade Alex Call, Hai-Song Kim, and a pitching prospect. You got 3 more years of Buxton, who's an excellent fielder and a big bat. Okay, you got 3 years of him. You're gonna have to give him Jackson Ferris or Mike Sirota. Oh, come on, you're gonna have
Bryan,
to do it. But listen.
What do you value more? What's the most important thing in a player? Availability. Byron Buxton has only played 2 full seasons in his career. His injury list is longer than your credits. That's how long it is. So I don't feel like he's an Andrew Friedman type of guy. He's injury prone, great player when he's on the field. But look, Stephen Kwan is on the Dodgers' radar, but Cleveland is a tough front office to make a trade with. Pages to right field makes sense. Tommy Edman could play left field. Brendan Donovan of the Cardinals, Lars Nootbaar of the Cardinals, very available as well. So I feel like you're on the right track, but I'm not sure which piece of the puzzle Andrew Friedman is going to go for to improve the outfield and somehow get younger, if possible.
Yeah, Buxton's only 31.
But a body that's like 38. I mean, he has had a lot of injuries.
To counter that, you just said when he plays, when he's healthy, he's excellent. And you have, Hai-Song Kim, who has yet to prove himself. You have either Sirota or Ferris to prove themselves. We don't know. And you're going to have to give up something to get that defense. But just imagine for 1 second, the defense. We'd have the best defensive outfield in all of baseball, and without sacrificing offense either. Think about that.
I love it. I love it. If he stays healthy.
All right.
And
Okay.
Stephen Kwan, I like that too. What's your bonus trade? You told me you had a bonus trade. Was the Buxton trade the bonus trade, the super bonus trade?
No, the Buxton trade was part of the, if we're moving Teoscar, if we're gonna move him, then.
By the way, Teoscar Hernandez was spotted in Miami, and he looks like he's been putting in a lot of off-season work already. He looks at least 20 pounds lighter.
Wow, cool.
Yeah.
I mean, you can.
All right,
I mean,
so
yeah. There's a lot of inside information that obviously fans don't have. That does. And,
Bryan Cranston has all the information.
Yeah, sure.
He's trying to play like he's a out-of-touch actor in London, doesn't have a direct pipeline to Andrew Friedman.
Okay, here is a total fantasy, never will happen trade. Tarek Skubal to the Dodgers for Emmett Sheehan and Justin Robleski.
That's it? That's all you think the Tigers would want?
Well, remember, one more year and he's a free agent.
Yes.
So they have to think smart as well. We're giving them two proven major leaguers, both extremely young, to step in. Now, you might have to sweeten that deal with a prospect as well, just to fill it a little bit, but not necessarily a top prospect. But you have two young major league talent to get Tarek Skubal. Can you imagine that starting rotation?
That would be the dream trade. That would be the dream trade. The Tigers are listening, I think, just to see what is out there from the Mets, the Dodgers, and other teams. But they're trying to win. So I feel like if they're out of contention at the trade deadline, Bryan Cranston, that trade definitely would be on the table.
Skubal, Yamamoto, Snell, Glasnow, Sasaki, Ohtani.
Okay, how about this? I'll take it another step further. If the Tigers don't trade Skubal this year, would you advocate for the Dodgers to sign him when he's a free agent, or do you feel like they've allocated enough to their starting pitching?
That's interesting. It's hard to predict what's going to happen or what conversation we're going to have a year from now after the Dodgers win back to back to back. There's going to be
the three-peat with these trades.
Three-peat. It's possible.
I feel like there's just some tweaks the Dodgers have to make, and they are trying to get younger. They are listening on what teams are offering for Teoscar Hernandez, but I feel at the end of the day, you're going to see a better Teoscar, and what Bryan Cranston said is 100% doable. Just move Teo back to left field. That'll solve a lot of problems.
It really, he seems so much more comfortable, and I don't even remember any conversation questioning his defense when he was in left.
I know. Nobody. He made a great throw to throw out Giancarlo Stanton in Game 5 of the World Series in 24. I mean, he was really good in left.
Yeah.
Can you give us some hope that All My Sons is coming to Broadway or Los Angeles? Can I come see my guy, Bryan Cranston? Or do I have to go to London?
You have to come to London for now. We're here until we're here until the first week of March. I'm going to try to see if I can get over to see some spring training games, but that's my hope. But this, I mean, I'm like an island over here. Everybody wants to talk soccer, and I'm going, anybody love baseball? And it's like, is that like cricket? Hello.
Did you bring a Dodger hat with you to London?
Oh yeah.
That's great. That's great.
Sure did. I wore it on my couch from 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. 3:30. Oh my God. But what a World Series that was. So exciting. I think, we're talking about getting younger. there's going to be contracts coming to an end within the next 2 years that I think that's when they're going to make a shift. Not
And
right
when I
now.
say younger, not like 22, like you're talking about with some of these prospects, there's a way to get younger, 27, 28, because if you get too young too soon, then all of a sudden you're stuck with a lot of rebuilding pieces. And that's not what the Dodgers are going to do.
No, Dodgers retool. We don't rebuild. We're
Hey,
looking
can I
for
ask
the
you this
tools.
question?
Yeah.
Since you've seen it all in Los Angeles with the Dodgers, like we're talking about, they're here to win a three-peat. Is it overstating that since 2013, this is the best stretch of consistent time in Dodger baseball history? I mean, I love Garvey, Lopes, Russell and Stay, Orel and Fernando. But I feel like this is really the golden age of Dodger baseball. Is that overstating things?
Well, I wouldn't say that it's overstating it, and certainly younger generations, this is what they know. After the 80s, we had 81 and 88, but after that, there was a long stretch of dry road. It was, it's like, woo.
From Darryl Strawberry to Gary Sheffield,
Manny Wood.
yeah, exactly.
It was tough. It was tough, but baseball is tough. Now, here's the thing. I hope the Dodgers never ever go back to a 5-man rotation. I think what the Japanese players have brought in is smart, and it's much more health conscious. We're looking at these kids. When I was a kid, nobody threw 100. It just wasn't possible. Nolan Ryan was the first one to come up, and it's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And he wasn't hitting that all the time. Now every kid is hitting that. And every starting pitcher, there's no more complete games. No one's looking for a complete game. They're throwing as hard as they possibly can for 6 innings. That's the goal. It's abnormal to ask the human body to endure that kind of stress. Look at what's happened to the Dodger pitching staff over the last few years. It's been decimated. But when they've given the days off and they've gone to a 6-man rotation, it has given them an extra day of healing. I will also say, if you look at who was on the IL last year, almost every starter was on the IL for a stretch of time, which I think in a weird way benefited the Dodgers come October.
Mm-hmm.
When Mookie was out, Freddie was out, and Muncy was out, and and Edman was out, they had time to heal. Oh, Smith was out. They had some time to shut down and not spend so much energy. And then here comes October, and then they regroup and get it back together. We all know 162 is a grind, and it's a gauntlet of pain. You got to make it through that in order to get to October. So I'm saying, let them go on the IL. Bring kids up. See how they do in June, July. If you got a wrist injury, go on the 10-day. Don't even question playing. Go on the 10-day. Shut it down a little bit. How does it feel? How do you feel? You're spending more time with your family. You're saving some energy. Come back. When you come back, we're going to be stronger. It also gives Doc and the rest of the staff time to look at guys like Freeland. He had a nice long run. It wasn't a cup of coffee. He had a pot of coffee. And it was like, so it was, we got to look at our catcher's situation, and moving them around. And so I think it benefited us in a weird way.
Yeah, I mean, that's what the Dodgers have mastered the regular season, and they sprinkle in these young guys, especially pitching wise, to really get them ready for the next step. And remember this name, Bryan Cranston, for 2026, River Ryan. River Ryan will be the 2026 version of Emmett Sheehan. He will be that guy for the Dodgers.
Are you saying that because Emmett Sheehan will be a member of the Detroit Tigers once we have Terrence Cooper?
I'm not saying that. No.
Okay, Rookie of the Year. Possible?
You're saying that. I'm not saying that.
Well, he's not going to.
I'd say he's going to be a breakout star.
No,
yeah. He'll be like a second half guy for the Dodgers. And if the Dodgers do have an injury in the first half, he would probably be one of those guys that would, they're getting ready.
I mean,
the River Ryan, remember that.
River Ryan. Yeah, I remember that name coming in. But we know there's going to be injuries. And it's just how you manage that going along. So filtering in these guys, getting like Gratterall back and back on board, and re-signing Trinan if we can, maybe Phillips, if we get him back, maybe. But
adding a relief pitcher would be big for the Dodgers, a guy that's established. There's been some rumors about Robert Suarez, Kenley Jansen. Those are guys that could help establish veterans at the end of the game.
Yeah. One more, maybe one more. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know how to end this conversation. I love talking to you. You've been so great with your time and on your day off, and it's awesome to hear your experiences and to share your thoughts about what the Dodgers should do and your trade ideas. It's awesome. So thank you, Bryan Cranston, for your time. I mean, we could go on and on. I mean, this is like a 6-episode type of thing here. Come on.
Well, let's just pause it then for now, and we'll pick it up in another month or two.
Sounds good. After they make their big splash, I'll reach out to you.
Well, let me ask you this: we're the winter meetings are right now. Are they going to make a splash during the winter meetings? Is that your prediction?
No, laying the groundwork. Nothing splashy in the next couple of days, but laying the groundwork, meeting with teams to possibly get it closer to the finish line.
Yeah, makes sense.
That's how I think that. Yeah, everybody's under one roof now. Schwarber has a good chance of signing during the winter meetings. Ron Harris, Suarez, same thing. But the Dodgers, I think, are just trying to wait the market out, and they have specific guys they feel that can help the team via trade. I think the Cardinals are a good trade partner for Lars Nootbaar or Brendan Donovan.
Yeah, I see that too. They may not have to go into the free agent market to really fortify what we need to change the team for this season.
Well, when you're back from London, you're done in March. Spring training will be in full swing. I can't wait to see you at Camelback Ranch. We'll give you a tour. I'll pull some strings for, a guy by the name of Bryan Cranston that I'm sure people would love to see out there.
It'll be fun. One more thing. Buxton is only making $15 million a year for the next 3 years. I'm just saying.
Bryan Cranston, big Byron Buxton fan. I'll get you a jersey for Buxton if the Dodgers acquire Byron Buxton. I am getting a jersey for you.
Hey, let me. Okay, one last thing before we sign off. Now, in the twilight of their careers, there's 2 future Hall of Famer pitchers out there that are free agents. What do you think? Do you think the Dodgers would bring Scherzer back on a 1-year deal or Verlander?
No chance. No, I don't believe they would bring either one of those guys in. Definitely not Scherzer after what took place in 21. And Verlander, I don't see, he was part of the 17 Astros.
Ah, there we go. We still hold a grudge.
Oh, man. Bryan,
Houston
awesome talking to you. Yes, great to see that smile out there in London. All my sons needs to come out to the United States. I need to see you in action. I miss Network. I need to see you. I mean, my favorite show was The Studio. I mean, that character that you played, it was such a surprise to see you, and you did an awesome job. And
It was a lot of
Is
fun.
there
We're
another
doing a
season
second.
coming?
Yeah, we're
Yes.
doing a second season of the studio. So
Oh, yeah.